Thank you for joining us today on Beyond the Benefits. My name is Sean Callahan. I'm with Savoy Associates. I'm an account executive here in the Central and North Florida territory. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with Savoy Associates, but we are a general agency. Our goal is to help our brokers grow and service their business as efficiently as possible. So, in order to do that, we need partnerships and relationships with carriers and vendors that can help us achieve those goals. Um, so, one of those carriers that's been a longstanding relationship of Savoy's is Aetna. We've had a relationship with them in other areas of the country, but as of September of last year, we were fortunate enough to be contracted with Aetna here in Florida. So they have a ton of exciting things going on. We thought it would be the perfect time to bring on Gene Canter with Aetna here in Florida to help talk about some of those things and walk us through them. So, Gene, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, Sean. Good. Thank you
Yeah,
for having us.
yeah,
Really
thanks.
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time. So, I guess before we jump in, if you want to take just a couple minutes to introduce yourself.
Sure, sure. I'm Gene Canter. I am the market head of sales and service for small group here in Florida. In other words, responsible for all things small group, 2 to 100 enrolled employees. And like I say, for the state of Florida, I'm based here in Tampa, but my team is spread out throughout the state, whether it be Pensacola, Jacksonville, down to Miami, over to Naples. I'm celebrating my 30th year with the company, so pretty excited. The majority of that time has been spent working with small group and small group employers. I moved here 13 years ago from the West Virginia market, but excited to be in Florida. I think of Florida as a huge small group state. I think 99% of the businesses in the state are small group. And that accounts for probably 3.6 million people employed in the small group arena. So I like to say, and it's a mantra of our company, that small group is definitely big business for Aetna. So we're excited and excited to be working with you guys, Sean, and Savoy. I know we work together in other markets, so we're excited to have you in Florida. But, a question I have for you, what attracted Savoy to Florida? I think you've been in a couple of years now, and we're
Yeah,
excited to have you. So why Florida?
yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we've actually been doing business in Florida for a number of years, but it's been mostly with brokers outside the market. So in other regions, whether it's the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, other areas of the country, with brokers that have business here. Um, but yeah, you're right. A few years, I guess about 3 years ago is when we actually opened up physical offices here in Florida. And we really
Yeah,
did that for a couple reasons. Number one, is to service the client base that we already had. That was kind of an expectation of the brokers that we had that were outside of the market.
sure.
Um, and something that we thought made a lot of sense was to have some local presence here to do that. And the second reason is really because I think in Florida, the block of business that Savoy has in Florida is probably our biggest outside of the Northeast. So it just made sense from an expansion standpoint to obviously have some physical presence here to help grow our business with the brokers here locally. So that's kind of how we ended up in Florida, and it's part of our expansion as a company. Me personally, Gene, I've been here about 20 years, all in the insurance industry. Not all with Savoy, but in the industry. And one thing I wanted to ask you about, because it's popped up pretty regularly and been a topic of conversation, is primary care access. So I was wondering what Aetna's doing in that space to help address the issue of primary care access. I guess for you specifically to Florida, I know it's an issue nationally, which you guys are probably addressing as well. But I just want a little insight on what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, I mean, it is an issue nationally, and selfishly we look at locally as well. But I think what Aetna is doing both nationally and locally helps with that. And it's kind of threefold. We tackle it first with our broad national networks. I mean, specific to Florida, if we realize some of the employers have locations nationwide. So we're not just looking maybe here in Tampa or here in Miami, but we've got to address other sites and employees that travel. So we've got broad national networks and very strong. So that's the first step. And that way our members can access the primary care, virtual care specialists through that, just specialists, even behavioral health, which is extremely important today. So I think that's the first step. We also, in Florida and in other markets, we have local networks that we can layer as well. We've built some value-based networks such as ACOs,
Hmm.
or accountable care organizations in specific areas in Florida. For us, the Jacksonville market, the Orlando market, and Southwest Florida markets. So we have that our members can tap into with higher engagement and even higher quality of care provided with some of the local networks that have been built. The second prong of that is the MinuteClinic locations.
Right.
Aetna is part of the CVS Health, and we can tap into what we call the assets of CVS. And of the biggest that CVS has are their MinuteClinics throughout, and many in Florida. So that gives an extra layer, or fills that gap for our members to access primary care. So we've expanded the primary care services over the last couple of years at those MinuteClinic locations to offer in-network primary care. And that includes like wellness,
Hmm.
chronic care condition management, and also behavioral health. So that's been kind of exciting as well. And then lastly, I kind of alluded to it earlier, is really our primary care, our virtual primary
Right.
care.
Yep.
And we saw that over the last couple of years become bigger and bigger. And that gives our members nationwide support that expands that access of primary care virtually for those who don't really have a primary care physician or prefer, like myself, the convenience of kind of a
Right.
non-traditional care setting. So between those three, I think we're addressing it. And again, very strong networks throughout. And I think since we're talking small group, our small groups love the fact that they're purchasing national networks to give
Right.
them coverage wherever they are.
Yeah, that's great. I think everything you're doing to address that, works out for the employee. I think simplifying things for them is a huge deal.
Sure.
Simplicity is, goes a long way for employees, and not just employees, but brokers and employers as well. So
Yeah.
I guess kind of flipping over to that side of things, what are you doing with brokers currently and employers to help really make the process as easy as possible in terms of, say, quoting through, implementation or onboarding? What are you doing to make that easy for brokers and employers?
Well, there's a couple things. I will say, I feel like we pride ourselves on trying to simplify the process. We know our industry is not simple. So we've tried to really simplify the process. And a theme that has been occurring within our organization is how to make it easier to do business with Aetna. And that's either from the brokerage or the general agent side of things, or our actual employers, and even to our members interacting with us. So there's a couple things I'll touch on, and it's exciting this year because we're launching two tools that will help our customers and brokers. One on the front end, and that's quoting a new group with us. We have a tool coming out, an automated tool, Aetna Sales Gateway, or ASG, another acronym like we need one. But Gateway is our online quoting tool for new business. And it just gives our brokers the ability, and GAs the ability at their fingertips to produce a quote within hours. Truthfully, it'll be within minutes, depending on the size of the group and the speed at which you're entering the information. But it will provide an underwritten quote to them automatically, so they don't have to wait a few days, which is historically what happens.
Right.
So we're excited to roll that out. It's just uploading simple information and getting that quote back and having that real time. So that will roll out later this year. And then on the back end, e-business.
Mhm.
Currently, we use e-business for our fully insured segment that we have. But for our level funded business, or our Aetna Funding Advantage, or another acronym, AFA business, we're using a different tool, Springboard. We're replacing Springboard with e-business, and that's going to really simplify a lot of things and add 100% improvement to the process, both with eligibility and enrollment and with billing. So
Right.
we're rolling that out as well. And that's actually starting with an upcoming batch of renewals that we have already going out.
Oh,
So
well.
excited about that. It's very easy. And truthfully, the biggest thing for us, it consolidates the bill. As you know, Sean, we
Mhm.
sell medical, but we also have dental and
Right.
vision alongside that. But for the end user, the customer, the bills there's a little separation with the invoices there. This will combine those and make it even easier to do business with us. So we're excited. So those are just two of the things that we're offering to simplify our process and simplify small group for our customers.
Yeah, that's great. That simplified billing is a huge deal, and being able to kind of coordinate between the non-medical and the medical is
Yeah.
great. So yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
Um,
excited.
and then, Gene, I know your focus is small group, as you mentioned during your intro. In terms of the employees that fall in that space, so employees working for employers that are in that segment, is there anything you're doing for them specifically to address their healthcare or overall like well-being needs?
I think, we've been doing small group for quite a while
Mhm.
well, nationally, but speaking just with Florida. And in 2016 is where we said, traditional fully insured ACA health insurance, there's got to be another solution. So we launched our level funded product, Aetna Funding Advantage then. Since then, it's been a very strong product, and it's
Yeah,
actually our lead product that we're going with. But it has evolved quite a bit. So what it was in 2016 is definitely different from what it looks like
right.
today. We've evolved with, with the industry, if you will, and listening to our customers' needs.
Sure.
So we're excited to offer that level funded product. And I think that's really a solution that helps control the healthcare expenses. And that's what these smaller groups
Yeah.
are really looking for. It gives them financial benefits and flexibility of a self-insured plan. But the term self-insured tends to scare some people. So we make it really look and feel like a fully insured plan. I
Hmm.
mean, they're paying us one fee a month, and it covers everything that a traditional self-insured plan would, and while stabilizing the costs and helping lower their risks. So I think it also gives them, I mentioned before earlier, local and strong national networks. So that's important to some of these small groups. It also provides them access to a ton of plans. Our product grid, that when you look at it, can be confusing sometimes. There's so many plan
Hmm.
options, but I think traditionally smaller employers haven't had those options. It also layers on the MinuteClinic that I referred to earlier, access to our MinuteClinic locations via CVS. And then
Hmm.
the virtual care services are embedded in every plan that we're selling. So that helps as well. And that does include behavioral telehealth services. And then, of course, all the health and wellness that they need
Hmm.
that is embedded in there as well. So I think it's a full package for
Yeah.
them that really gives them a solution to help control the cost. And what I like at the very end of the day, if they're running really well, they have an opportunity to get money back via a surplus. And they can
Right.
sign up for either the option of getting a 50% surplus back or 100% surplus back. With a traditional fully insured plan, you don't have that. You're
Right.
just increases year after year.
Right.
So
Right.
I think our AFA or Aetna Funding Advantage, it creates a platform for strong consistency. We're finding our members are staying with us longer. They have
Hmm.
access to care without disruption and overall better health outcomes. And that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah, that's great. Honestly, I think what you guys are doing to meet, not just brokers, employers, employees where they need you most is tremendous. What And I think I mentioned in the beginning of the call, we've worked with Aetna in other areas of the country
Sure.
for a long time, and because of everything that you've talked about, we're super excited about being able to work with you and to develop our relationship even further and hopefully grow here in the state of Florida going forward. So I appreciate so much having you join us today, Gene. It's been very helpful to me personally, and hopefully to everyone out there that's listening as well. I think the information is tremendous. I'll just, I guess, to end, if there's anything else that you hadn't hit on that you want to mention before we wrap up.
No, Sean, I appreciate the opportunity. We're extremely excited to be working with you now in the Florida market, and
Hmm.
hopefully we can duplicate some of the things we've done with you guys in other markets. So I thank you for the opportunity to kind of share what we're doing with Aetna, and excited to grow together. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Gene. Thanks again, Gene
All right.
Canter, and everyone that had a chance to listen in. Until next time, take care.